So, welcome to the first Altrincham Business Improvement District podcast. This podcast is designed to interview loads of our amazing local business owners in and around the BID area in Altrincham. And the first business owner that we've got in is the amazing Chris from Gran. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, thank you.
So we're going to find out a little bit about you.
Yeah.
We're going to find a little bit about how you got into business and a little bit more about Gran and some of your sort of biggest successes and challenges in business, if it's all right. All in the space of about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So
Here we go.
Here we go.
We have to cast my mind back over 7 years of a journey here and fit it into 20 minutes.
Absolutely. So let's start with what was your first job when you left school?
So when I first left school, I was an office junior. So I actually relocated straight after leaving school.
Yeah.
I moved from one area of the country to another area of the country. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Still, I'm unsure. I'm still making that decision. Still figuring it out at the sort of very near age of 40. And so I started off as an office junior. As I was going into being sort of 17 years old, I needed some extra pennies to pay for my first car. And I managed to get a job as a waiter at a restaurant that was based above a pub at the time.
Yeah.
And that was when I fell into hospitality. And especially say I fell in love with hospitality.
Yeah.
The lifestyle, the culture, the environment, the networking, the people. Just loved everything about the job.
And how long after that did you take the leap into owning your own business?
So 300 years later.
I don't know. You're aging there.
So I'd be 17 when I started hospitality, and I was 31 when I opened Gran's Coffee House. So
What was the catalyst to going from working for somebody else to wanting to run your own business then?
I'll be honest. So I used to work for a high street pizza chain,
Yeah.
where I mentioned the name.
We can figure it out.
Well, there's a few, and they're actually growing again, pizza chains. So I could sort of buffer within that, but it had the word express in it. It broke me. I was running a high volume site within Manchester, so it's one of the busiest sites outside of London.
Yeah.
It was very high turnover, a very big team, managing a very big team. And it was kind of like, as much as I thrived off the challenge and proving that I could achieve things, whether it be a high EHO rating, meeting my KPIs for the business, breaking records, doing whatever I needed to do, was great for a certain period of time. But unfortunately, the company did not look after its employees.
Right.
And it was like an epiphany one day when we hit a really rough patch with the restaurant, and there was just no support from hierarchy.
Yeah.
There was no tools being put in place. We hit a really bad period within the restaurant, and we kind of needed equipment. We needed tools. I'd had staff taken off me to go and support other sites.
Yeah.
And it was like our busiest week of the year. And unfortunately, I just didn't have what I needed to run my site. And it was almost just brushed off by my seniors, and there was no support. And it kind of, unfortunately, took me to the end of the week where I remember it was an October half term, and I called my area manager on my one day off. And obviously this was another thing. You were always working above your contracted hours. There was never anything as much as a thank you. But because I was so goal driven, I was like, I want to achieve this. I want to do this. And you forget about what you're sacrificing for a company that doesn't even say thank you.
Yeah. So did you hand your notice in before you'd set up your business, or?
So it was very spontaneous, and never in all of my years in hospitality. I think at this point I'd probably been in hospitality for about 17 years, something like that. Never not had another job offer to go to, or been poached to go and run another site. So I was always quite sort of confident and arrogant in what I'd done. I'd never stopped. I did not stop for 17 years. And I kind of got to this point at the age of sort of 31. Maybe I was having like some sort of mid-30s crisis or something. And I kind of just got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd lost my love for hospitality. And I'll be very honest, it sounds very brutal, but I didn't like the customers.
Yeah. I
didn't like my team. I didn't like the company. I wasn't proud of the products that I was serving.
Yeah.
And I just lost vision. I lost clarity of thought. And I just phoned my ops manager and said, he knew what was coming because we'd had a few issues. And I met him for a coffee that day. And he said, I know what you're going to say. And he's like, I've put the head chef from another restaurant up there. I've got your extra pot wash. We've ordered your new dishwasher. We had no dishwasher in the busiest site in the busiest week of the year. It was carnage just when it's too little, too late. Right. You should have listened to what I needed and you should have actioned it. And he's like, how much money do you want? Like, what is it? What do you need? And I said, it's not about money.
No.
When are you going to learn to treat people right? That's what you're missing. And what you're missing is the word hospitality. You've forgotten it as a company.
So when you left there, did you think you were going to open a hospitality business?
No, I didn't. I actually, literally that day, it was my day off, I went home and I lived with one of my best friends at the time.
Yeah.
And I went and sat on the end of her bed that night and I burst into tears. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I was on a good salary at the time. And I was like, I don't know what I've just done. I've never been in this position. What do I do? Let's tell you right. I knew I could get a hospitality job quite easily. But it set me into panic. And she had a business at the time. She had her own salon. And she said to me, it's time you did it for yourself. And I threw every excuse under the bus. I was like, I don't have enough money. I don't have the experience. I'm not ready for this. I had no idea where to start. And she was a very inspirational person, to be fair. And she just said to me, if you want something enough, you will find a way. And that's all she said to me. And I literally went and bought myself a scrapbook the next day and started almost collaging ideas and writing notes down and starting to sort of doodle menu ideas. And I would go and visit like coffee shops and think about like what I would want to be, what I would want to serve and what I would be proud of. And it literally even started like costing up equipment and what it was going to, what the sizes of venues, and started looking at premises to rent and really sort of building an action plan to the point where once we'd found our location to try and get a guesstimate of sales, I went and sat in a coffee shop for a whole day, not even joking. And it was a local coffee shop here. I sat on a table in front of their till and I put my earphones in and pretended I had music on and I was listening to all of their transactions for hours. And I sat there on an Excel spreadsheet and totaled up. Right, they just ordered a ham and cheese toasting. They ordered a coffee, and that came to like £7.10. And I would literally almost write down their till tally. But right, if that's what they've taken in a day, or like a Wednesday, if we can do 50% of that, that's my business.
That's break even. Was that break even, or
that was what it pays my business off? So I said, if we can take 50% of that as a day's taking, then that's what I can afford in terms of premises, staff levels, and I started building rotas.
Brilliant.
And then costed it all out and said, right, well, I can't afford that, or I could do that, and I literally went very, probably OTT, and I don't think some people think to go that in depth.
It's one of the major problems. People go into business without, they've got an idea, or they've got a vision or a dream of what they want, but they don't do any planning, they don't do a business plan, they don't do an action plan. So they've got no idea.
The amount of people I speak to, they go, it must be lovely to open a coffee. I'd love to open a coffee shop. And I think they see the coffee and the cakes on the counter and they don't understand the structure, the foundation and everything behind it. It's so complex. And a lot of people don't see that. And that, you're right, that is what people don't see coming. And that's why a lot of people fail.
So how long is it now since you opened Gran in Altrincham?
We're going for 7 years this July. And what a 7 years it's been.
Was that a couple of minor incidences along the way?
You hoops along the way.
Yeah. And you survived COVID, obviously.
We have,
And you've got a second venue now.
We have, So we opened our second site in Manchester City Centre in ActionCOACH this year. That's a challenge, a whole different challenge, different, sort of culture of people, different location. So we try to find that balance of what people want, who's our. And I think even we're quite lucky that we're not too arrogant through our own eyes, but we're looking at what people want in that area. We've got this great business model in Altrincham, but we can't be arrogant to it and go, well, it's copy and paste, because it's not. And I think this was one of the things that used to really frustrate me with working for bigger chains, is that you have these hierarchies in head office that go, well, one size fits all. And I honestly, I remember sitting in an area meeting once for this pizza chain, and one of the top dogs from head office was like, well, why is it they're delivering that in Hale, but you're not delivering that at Trafford Centre? And I was like, are you mad? Like, we're a shopping centre. That's Hale. Like, people go to Hale for a pizza and a bottle of wine. They come to us with a £5 off voucher, and they want a jug of water, a margarita, and they want to be in and out in half an hour. Like, it's different.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to really understand your surroundings.
Yeah.
But you've got to live and breathe it a bit. Yeah. It's not a open a site and hope for the best. I mean, I am living and breathing ActionCOACH at the minute.
There's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. One is brand, because obviously you've got a fantastic brand. But the second is something that you said earlier on, which was about the reason that you left the other company, which was about people and how employees are treated and employee engagement within the business. So how do you ensure that you get what you didn't get in your previous employment at Grantees?
I think one of the biggest differences is we are independent, and I work a lot within our business. And I suppose I am very much a leader within the business rather than a boss of the business. Being hands-on, being the one that sanitizes the toilets at the end of the night, like, you set that example. And when things do hit the fan, to politely say that term, I am the first one there.
Yeah.
I'm the first one there. I'm the first one to step in. And your team learn very fast that you have their back. And they lean on you a little bit, but you also need to make sure that your team hold their own and they don't lean on you too much, because that can be one of the biggest burdens of being a business owner. But it's really important that you also do not take too much on your own shoulders, so that you can step back, look at your team, be there for your team in other ways, and make sure there is constant recognition, acknowledgement, just saying thank you. If you can give other gestures or other benefits within the company, which we do, we now pay for a benefits program. We try and set as many goals and incentives as we can. We have our Christmas party every year, but that is goal driven. And I think this is one thing, is that it can become really mundane to just turn in and do your job every day. But if you're able to set a goal, it's amazing that once you do that, how differently people perform.
And the hospitality business is renowned for being a difficult business to recruit people in, first of all, and then to retain people in, because people hop for 50p an hour or whatever traditionally. So you've got to create the right kind of environment for people to work in. And I think the traits that you show as a leader are absolutely crucial, not just in your business, but in every business. Being a great leader, making quick decisions, leading from the front, getting ready to get stuck in when you need to, but having that framework of responsibility and measurement, so people know whether they're doing a good job, whether you tell them or not. You give them that autonomy to...
Absolutely, and you've got to have a structure in place that they can feel rewarded, even sometimes without you. They haven't to physically say it, but they know that everything's on the back path. Even though it's just where I'm a massive weirdo, in the sense of every time we get an email through that says we've got a Google review, TripAdvisor review, whatever site is relevant to, I make sure that I screenshot it and send it straight to that team, and it's well done straight away. They need to know that they're on the right path and that you're seeing it. If you're not present in sight, it's just important they know that they're on the right track. And that is.
And how many people do you actually employ across 2 sites?
So I think we're currently sitting around 20.
Right.
20 staff, so on average about 10 in each site.
And do you have an idea of where your retention rate is? Do you retain people for longer than the average hospitality business?
I always make a joke that some people have been with us that long, we can't sack them anyway. We are very lucky. And at the minute, actually, we're at a stage where over time, people do leave, and generally it's for the right reason. And we're a huge believer in that, that hospitality can be a stepping stone. And it's really important that I think you learn with times that you have to offer people flexibility. It's okay that people might be doing, guitar classes on a Tuesday night, and you give them that flexibility to live their life, because if they don't have that work-life balance, which is so important for everybody now, which isn't how hospitality used to be 20 years ago. It was I employ you, you're here. But times have changed so much, and offering people that kind of flexibility really helps people want to then work for you. And like I say, setting those goals, recognition, it all builds this persona. And we're quite lucky. We do hold on to people very well. We've had some people that have literally been with us for nearly 5 years. And we even had a couple of people leave and go to totally different careers, and they are actually now back with us.
Brilliant. Yes, stuff. Let's talk about the brand. Gran Teas.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Or grants, we get all the time. Some people don't see that little space. I've not branded it that well for that. But this is the clever thing, is that it becomes a talking point.
Yeah.
So as much as people are like, do you get offended when people call it grants? And I'm like, no, because people talk about it.
Yeah.
So have I not done the job by making it a talking point?
Curious, isn't it? You want to know why it's called Gran Teas.
Absolutely.
Chris, why is it called Gran Teas?
So it was basically, it's named after my grandma Taylor.
Right, okay.
And she was stored in my phone as Gran T. So we have a Gran P for Parks and a Gran T for Taylor. And Taylor is the family name, but I didn't want to call it anything around Taylor because there is a Taylor's everything. It's too common of a name. And Gran T just seemed quite gimmicky. It just seemed a bit, short, punchy, catchy, and straight to the point. And so basically the concept of the coffee shop was to have an environment that kind of reminded me of my happy childhood memories at my grand's house. So we go for the sort of vintage rugs, the chintzy light fittings. There's little bits of vintageness within the shop, but it's still a very modern, but modern come rustic environment. But we've created this comfort within that shell, basically. So,
and is Gran T still around?
She's not, unfortunately. She passed away in 2013, so she never saw the shop because we opened in 2017. So she never knew that it was happening. Well, it all happened after she passed. She was just my inspiration for it.
I'm sure she's looking down and smiling.
I'm sure she is. I do believe she's watching over us. I mean, I don't think we'd have survived the last 7 years without her wisdom looking over us. And we actually created 7 different values within the business, and they are all built within our story, like kindness, family, hospitality being the biggest one, and I wanted that to be there because, like I said earlier, I think a lot of companies now, especially the bigger boys, they've forgotten that key thing. It's a transaction now, and they're just so good at branding. People are just sheep and they're duped into it. Whereas our hospitality is missing from a lot of business.
It's something I was going to ask you about, because values for me are the foundation of every business. Your values and your culture, whether it's around your employees, whether it's around how you treat customers, are absolutely crucial in every business. So, for you to have that value statement around your brand, everybody sees that. Everybody sees it.
And we got our team involved in it. So when we created those 7 values as a business, we got the team all together in a team meeting, and they wrote what they believe each one stands for and how that impacts their job, how they deliver that in their job. So I didn't write that and go, this is what I want you to do. They created that and they said, this is what we do. And they were telling me about, and I left it to them. And I said, you create this. This is your thing. And we just passed that on now.
It's amazing now, because when I go into any business, you can tell what the values of the business are by the behaviours that people exhibit in the business. It doesn't matter what's written in your culture document or on the wall or whatever. You can see it in the people that are in the business, and particularly in hospitality, that's immeasurably important. You want to be welcomed into a hospitality venue, don't you?
And you can't force people to do it. And it's really hard to find people that will just naturally deliver that kind of value. And it's important that it's the bad side, I suppose, of managing the business, but you have to manage the people. And if they aren't delivering that, you have to make sure, as much as you set goals, you also have a discipline side of, if you're not delivering that, then unfortunately we're just not meant to calibrate together.
Yeah. Maybe we're just not the right business for you.
Thank you. Well, no, thank you.
That's a skill in recruitment, because it's very easy to recruit on skills. You know if somebody's good at serving or talking to.
Absolutely.
It's much more difficult to tell what people's values and culture are. So recruit slowly.
Yeah, and this has been me, been me once or twice in the past where I have made bad judgments, but I don't believe it. I'll be honest, I don't read people's CVs. I when we put an advert out on Indeed, is what we usually do. We always do everything over a FaceTime interview, and I'll give them 15 minutes, and I do it as a very snapshot before I even invite them in for the next stage, which is a face-to-face interview. I give them a 15-minute FaceTime call, just a quick, and I call it a literal casual chat, quick, snappy.
Yeah.
If they can't give me energy in that 15 minutes, why would I want them in my show? Like in hospitality, you've probably got 20 seconds from someone walking through your door that's never been in your business before, and you have that maybe even 10 seconds to really wow them and give them comfort and let them know that you've got their back and that you're going to follow them through this process kindly, and they want to build that trust in you straight away. If somebody can't do that in an interview or doesn't show confidence straight away, and I'll know in the first minute that they're just not right.
Absolutely right. When we interview people, we have 3 1 to 10 scores. The first one is communication. Can they communicate clearly? And the second is energy and enthusiasm. And the third is a gut feel. How do you actually feel about it? And they've got to score at least 7 or 8 on all of those to get through to the next stage. Couple of quick fire questions.
Go for it.
So what's your vision for Grantees over the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the business? I also, where do you see yourself? Maybe we talk about that. Where do you see the business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Do you know what? I think at the moment I'm so in deep, obviously because we've opened the second site.
Yeah.
I really see this as the biggest project we'll ever face. Going from 1 site to 2 guys, you've added 100% to your business. And me mastering this and making sure that I can do this without me having to be there, present 100% of the time.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest challenges we're ever going to face. And I think this is what most brands, they'll always have 1 successful site. They then go on to 2. Sometimes their attention goes to number 2 and they forget number 1. Yeah. So finding this balance at the minute is really hard for me. And this is the biggest challenge. But in a couple of years' time, if you'd have asked me 3 months ago, I would not have said this. I would have gone, that's it, I'm done, I'm selling. But I think I'd like to grow it, continue growing it. Once I think I've mastered this and I start to look back at what I've achieved, at the minute you don't, because you're just so knee-deep in what you're doing. And, we're fighting against a tough economy and things at the moment where we are fighting for survival as well as trying to master what we're trying to do. In the long run, in the next couple of years, I think we would like to then start copying and pasting and
yeah. Any idea how you're going to do that? You're going to do that organically yourselves? Are you going to do a franchise model? Or?
No, I think it would be something I would keep within my own grip. I don't necessarily want to go down the franchise route, although that essentially is what we're doing. We're creating a business that, getting a business to a franchise state is the easiest way to grow yourself.
Yeah.
I would never say never. It's just not my action plan at the moment. I'm very proud of what I've created, and
you don't want to let it go all for it.
Yes, I don't want to let it go.
No, we'll talk about that another time, Chris.
Yeah. So never saying never, but at the minute, it's just something I want to keep close to my heart.
Yeah,
it holds a lot of personal heartstrings to me, this business, and it's named after my Gran. So, and I've joked in the past about selling it. Maybe been serious once or twice, but it would be like selling my own.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, everyone would sell the Gran at the right price. Yeah, it's going to have to be a big.
So, what's the one non-negotiable behaviour for all of the people who are involved in your business?
To not deliver a no problem attitude. So it's something that's up there within our training manual and within our values. We are very, very sort of repeat on the no problem attitude. If you don't have that, and that can come in terms of the way you approach everything within the business. And we all know not everything goes to plan.
Yeah.
Day on day, every day is a new day.
Yeah.
But it's about your mindset and it's about how you approach every situation of every day.
Yeah.
And it's also about what you guests are bringing into store, because they bring a whole set of problems too. And you may not be able to give them what they want, but if you deliver it with the right attitude, you can find a compromise.
Yeah.
And you can still make them happy, even though you haven't got what they want.
No, I guess so. This is for Altrincham bid, obviously, so it'd be remiss of me not to ask you. You're in Altrincham. What impact do you think the bid has had for you and your business and the hospitality businesses in and around Altrincham?
I think the bid, one of the biggest things that the bid brings to Altrincham is it really brings the community together. Now, it being an independent business, it can feel very isolated sometimes. I'm sure everybody feels that in independent business, but actually, when you start to network, you start to communicate, a problem shared is a problem solved.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, that is what the bid brings to the table. But on the separate side of it, Altrincham wouldn't be what it is without the footfall that comes through it. It's okay you being the best brand in the world, but if you've not got constantly new footfall coming through and, a change of habits and fresh faces, it will eventually die out. And Altrincham has been there in the past. So it's really important that we have something like the bid that is staying on top of the town as a whole and making sure it's still an investable, creative town.
Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely. Thanks, mate.